first of all.
Oh, hi, Ollie. Yeah.
Yeah, we always travel as a team. And I can't live without my
Amen, yes.
because he handles all of my finances.
Exactly. That's my point, sir. The momager. All right, sir. Can you please? Oh, yes. I know you had a long travel, a traffic.
I'm okay.
Okay, everybody comfortable?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm now gonna turn the mic to you. If you have questions, just raise your hand and put them down, and I'll come to you. Sino gusto mauna? Oh, sige. Kate.
Hi, sir. I'm Kate from Random Republica.
Okay. Yes.
Just want to ask, you've mentored a lot of people, but who would you consider your life's mentor? Or do you have inspirations or life things?
Well, the answer can be found in the question you asked. I have had a lot of mentors and a lot of inspirations, and most of them are staying with me in my house, inside my library. So what I do is I apply a very standard, effective business practice, because what I do is, when it comes to sales and motivation, I would consider Zig Ziglar as my mentor. As a matter of fact, I admire him so much. I went to the stage and I got his sales training program and represented Zig. When it comes to Charles Swindoll, it's all about character. When it comes to, of course, the classical guru of modern day management, and without him, I won't have a word today. It's Peter Drucker. When it comes to academe and a little bit of the leadership in that area, I'll go to Warren Bennis. In other words, I get here's the effective business term. I get their best practices. Because it is virtually impossible to have one person representing all the good stuff. Each one will have their own competencies, and most of them are still with me, but now they are in my Evernote. Yes, thank you.
All right, next question. All right, paunahan na tayo.
Hi sir, good afternoon. I'm Chad from the Manila Feed. My question is, how personal to you is this book? Is it all about your personal experience, or you also get the inspiration from other person?
That's a very good question. And by the way, every time the speaker says that's a very good question, that means the speaker doesn't have an answer yet. It's a collection of tidbits of information that I pick from everywhere. The one important lesson I have learned in life is every single day, every moment offers lessons to be learned. We have to be observant, but we also have to be absorbent. And so, what inspires me is that I'll pick up this article from somewhere. I will have my personal experience with this business client. I will view and observe what's happening now and try to come up with my own conclusion. Some deductive, some inductive, and then try to figure out what lesson can we get here. And so the main purpose of my writing and writing in the column and putting it in the book and writing and speaking in a radio program is these lessons can be shared to everyone and it can help people.
And at this point of your life, sir, what matters to you right now?
God matters my entire life. I mean, my priority has never changed ever since the day I realized that it's not about me. And so my priority will be God. Number two will be the Ilocana. Don't forget that. It's not even the children. That's why my children know that they never make me choose between their mom and they lose, hands down. And then after that will be the kids, and they're no longer kids. Rachel is 28 today. Very, very single and available, but refuses to because her mind is absorbed in doing business. And then after that will be the purpose of why I'm doing what I'm doing, my career, my businesses, in that order.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
All right, we have our next question, sir. Okay.
What? Hi, Sir Francisco. What challenges you? How do you challenge yourself from writing a book, as you said, once a year?
Oh, writing a book is not very difficult for me. Churning out materials every single day, that's the challenge. Well, since how long has this been? 24 years. Monday, it used to be Monday to Saturday. Now, God has been merciful with me. It's now Monday to Friday. I have to churn out the material that I can use and then present that in my radio broadcast. And so, collecting all these things and coming up with a theme, that's the easy stuff. But churning out materials on a daily basis, that's the part that challenges me. But now I've had help. I mean, with ABS-CBN publishing, they have had artists and their people and editors helping me put the whole thing together. And I now have my daughter with her team helping me also with the graphics requirement and the creative aspects. So I guess that all makes it work. That makes my work a little easier compared to the day when I was starting out.
How long did you write the book, sir? And yeah,
Maybe the putting up together of a book will take. This one, I think this took me about 4.5 months to put it together, conceptualize, but I needed a lot of help. So our friends from ABS-CBN Publishing and their editors were so kind and generous enough to come in and help me organize it together. But essentially, that's what it takes to collate and collect all those articles and put it into a book form. Another answer to your question might be why. I have had people who will ambush me during my seminars, and then they'll show me these yellowish, old faded clippings that they would take the patience of cutting off in the newspaper, and then they would want me to sign each page. And I say, oh my goodness, why don't I put it in the book form so that they'll have something they can. You know, the beauty of a book is not just for your personal reading, there's pass-on readership. And the challenge to that is, every time you lend out a book, there's a high probability it will never be returned, right? So that's good for National Bookstore.
All right, thank you. Next. All right.
Hi, Sir Francis.
Hi.
My question is, you're a very productive, prolific person, and I'm sure you get a lot of questions are like, how do we get to be as productive as you are, and we're not as, as disciplined maybe. So how do you go about encouraging people to, get to that point?
That's good. A very brilliant question, Hannah. Thank you. Let me share with you my experience in retail. A lot of people know me to be a speaker and a trainer and a columnist, a book author and all of that, but what they don't understand is I'm still in business. I'm very active in business. Even as we speak right now, I'm active on the board of the country's second largest, arguably the second largest chain of retail stores. It's called Primer. So the first important lesson I have learned from, we owe him a lot, Henry C. Sr., who passed, and he started all this huge business. He never looked at the store space as a space. He looked at the store space as a farm property. And so he looked at the sales of the books as yield towards the harvest. I said, that's brilliant. Nobody ever thought about that, or maybe I was just too bothered by the feedback, so maybe I was just ignorant about it. And I said, hey, take a look at that. You take a look at this space, and then you compute the yield of the sales. That will give you the number per square foot as to how much, right? You now take a look at it, and you apply the same principle into your life. You have 24 hours a day. How do you spend each minute? What yield will that bring you? And so when you spend 2 hours binging on TV series, what yield would that bring you? And when I spend 2 hours of reading books and researching, ano naman kaya ang yield ko? So that part, I value the resource called time. This is like a seminar. I'm gonna ask you a question, everybody answer. Fill in the blanks. Time is gold. No, time is not gold. You know why? When the time is not gold, time is not money, because when you lose money, you can re-earn it. But when you lose time, time is irredeemable. Therefore, my personal conclusion is that time is even more valuable than gold and money. Next is, since I figured that one out, that will form the philosophical basis of the things that will govern me into what I do. I don't want to waste time on senseless activities that will not add value to my success goals. Second, how do I do the things that are necessary to get there? We always say the D word. That D word is called what? Discipline. Wait. Before you can get to that stage, how do you make discipline work? Discipline should rest on the foundation of routine. You have to come up with your routine so that your routine forms your habit. And then your habit now forms your behavior determines your outcome. And that's why I'm an extremely boring person to be with. I've had people PM me and said, Sir Francis, can I just live with you for 2 months? I mean, I can carry your stuff, I can drive your car, I want to learn from you. I said, if you live with me for 2 days, you're going to be bored to death. You're going to see me doing exactly the same thing every day, because those are the things that matter. If you're in business and you like a more business-like answer to that, you apply the Pareto principle into the things that you do every day. Long answer for a short question.
It's amazing. Time is priceless. Next question is coming from you.
Hi, Sir Francis. My name is Josh.
Yeah.
With our memory failing us pretty fast, how do we get the most out of all your books?
The power of the pen and the paper. For example, I've got news for you. My job is in leadership training, so my thesis now is I have to prepare the millennials now on how they can manage the Generation Z. Gen Z will be joining the workforce in 2 years' time. Many of them are in OJT now. If you feel that the millennials are very difficult to lead and manage, wait till you see the Gen Z. They are totally different creatures. That'll be the biggest challenge for every generation. So what I do right now is this. The Gen Z people love reading books. And the Gen Z, as my thesis would present, the Gen Z don't like reading e-books. They want the traditional books. That's why it's going to be a great opportunity for National Bookstore again. And so this is what I do, pen and paper. What do I mean? Highlight the book. Never tell yourself, sayang, no, I don't want to dirty my book. Hey, a dirty book is a clean mind. That means the mind is black. The more you dirty your book, you highlight it, you write your notes there, and then you transcribe your notes into something, and then you look at it, and then you contemplate on it, and then you let it feed your mind again and again. In other words, you're getting the maximum benefit out of that book.
That's good. Any other questions from this side? Our guests?
Hi, Sir Francis. You've talked a lot about managing your time, doing what you need to do. But what's your take on luxuries in life, especially millennials and Gen Z? They're very I want to travel, I want to do this, I want to shop, I want to pamper myself. So do we need to stay away from these things?
If that person happens to be my kid, I will spark that kid. Just kidding, I don't spark kids. Let me just say this. We also need to learn how to reward ourselves. I do about 310 to 320 talks, trainings, and seminars in a year. If you're going to consider this one as one engagement, this is going to be my 69th for the year. So, how's that? And I'm expensive, by the way. So how's that? Well, I'll never give up on having my family vacation on December, and I bring my entire family out, and then they have 100% of my time and attention with them. That's how I reward myself. Middle of the year. Well, pretty soon we're going to be going on a short vacation also. A short vacation meaning to say about 4 to 5 days. Long vacation, that's about 3 weeks plus. And so these are rewards that I give to myself. These are travel and The best way to travel, the best way to learn is to travel, right? Yes, but do not shop. So you visit museums, you take a look at the culture, you understand it, widens and broadens your horizon. I'm now at a distinctive advantage, so that when I travel, I happen to have people I can talk with. Last November, I went to New York, and I had the opportunity to meet Ariana Huffington of Huffington Post. I had this short time of interview with Seth Godin and Sarah Lewis. Before that, it used to be Malcolm Gladwell and Adam Grant. And so, my travel gives me the pleasure. And I also want to make it a learning experience as well. You have to travel, but the one thing I don't like about the millennials is this. I will fight anyone in the room who will insist the millennials are slackers or lazy. No, they don't know that. They work hard. And then when they work hard to save money, and then there's budget airfare promo, and then they go to Beijing, and then they splurge it all out, and then they come back and then they work again. They have to learn how to manage their money as well. And so the reward should always be a responsible reward, but not one of irresponsibility and negligence and recklessness. Yeah, we have to have that.
Thank you, sir.
And can I ask you a question?
Oh, sure.
If I color my hair like that, will it look good on me? Because it looks good on
Sure.
you.
I'm pretty sure. You can rock anything.
Alright, so Mr. Francisco with purple hair. Yes? Oh. So here's a hard question from
Yes.
our big time questioner.
Sir Francisco, who are you reading now?
Who am I reading now?
What are you reading now?
I just finished a book entitled The Coupling of the American Mind. I would even recommend, I think I'm going to post that in my Facebook page. So every now and then I do book recommendation. That is an extremely important book. The Coupling of the American Mind, meaning to say the Gen Z now has been overprotected, and they feel that when every time somebody speaks or airs out an opinion that goes against what they believe in, the schools should be a mental gymnasium for the battle of ideas. But many Gen Z now felt like if you speak something that opposes my belief, you offend me. And that puts me in an unsafe situation that will cause me anxiety and mental health and depression. And so how do you deal with that? So schools and parents should know how to raise up their kids and try to develop mental toughness, so that, because the world is going to get a lot more hyper competitive, whether you like it or not. So that's a brilliant book. And do you understand what I just said?
I think he's taking notes.
Right? So The Coupling of the American Mind. And apart from that, I was listening, because it's only available in Audible as a free Audible audio material, not available in print. Adam Grant's Power Moves. And just to give you an idea, I practically listen to about 4 or 5 audiobooks in a month. I read one traditional book. That's every time waiting for my flight because of the delay. And that's what I do. So I keep my mind active with the latest things that's happening. And also one advantage I have is that I have one-on-one encounters with the industry leaders, business owners, and I get to ask them questions, and they get to give me ideas of what's happening now. So I think that's one distinctive advantage I have as a speaker and a trainer that others don't really have. Thank you for that profound question.
Oh, you're welcome, sir. And here from Mr. Allen.
Sir Francis, I just want to ask, what tips can you give to those millennials who wants to become successful in life or in
that's
business?
good. Yeah. I have good news.
Because
Yes.
millennials are fast-pacing and then...
Right. That's a very relevant question. I've got good news and not so good news for the millennials. Which one do you want to hear first?
Both. Bad news.
No, the not so good news is that the millennials are getting old. we're still harping on the millennials. Don't you understand that they're getting old? The oldest millennial now is 37 years old. The good news is that these millennials now are in very precise and very strategic positions now for leadership if they know how to handle their lives correctly. They are now being poised for leadership. As a matter of fact, many of the millennials now are team leads, and if they do their work correctly, they're now next in line. And the Gen Xers are on the verge of retirement already. So this is now their opportunity. Yeah, so the tip I'd like to say is be serious with life. YOLO will not get you anywhere. FOMO is not good. And today you have a new one. It's called FOLO. Anybody understands what it is? FOLO means fear of living offline. And so, be serious with life. There's no such thing as instant success. In my seminars, I say there's instant coffee, there's instant ramen, instant noodle, instant baby meat that produces instant babies. I hope it's not the case. But behind success, there is always a process of hustle, grinding, discipline, learning, saving, and continuous learning.
Thank you, Sir Francis.
You're welcome.
Alright, millennials? Okay, natamaan.
Hi, Sir Francis.
Hi.
So, on behalf of all millennials in the room, can you give us tips on how to identify our productive passion?
Well, answering that question, I need to ask you another question first. What is your understanding of the word passion?
Since I already attended one of your talks.
See, I know it.
Yeah, so you said that passion is really misunderstood by a lot of people. I think that passion is something that, kumbaga, it's a concept that's not tiring or hindi siya mahirap.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's my question. How would you identify your passion?
Okay. Now, don't let these two young people fool you. These guys are millionaires. That guy drives around in a Maserati, right? I know. And so, a lot of young people now would say, follow your passion. This is my passion. I said, no, that's your hobby. But you follow your passion, you run after your passion, and then the money will run after you. So that's not going to happen. In the first place, you don't even understand the literal meaning for the word passion. In any dictionary that you look up to, the word origin in Latin for passion means suffering. That's why you have what? Mel Gibson's Passion of the Christ. Mel Gibson's Passion of the Christ doesn't mean a hobby of Christ. And so, since you now know the literal meaning of the word passion, that means it's something you are willing to suffer for. So, it's got nothing to do with the elation of the feeling of doing something. Before you can get good at something, you first have to feel bad about doing it. You have to go through that process. But since you understand that is important for you in order to get to your success point, you are willing to suffer through the challenges and the hardship of the incremental successes that you will be getting point by point until you reach the tipping point, and then everything begins to fall in place. And this is so antithetical to the YOLO concept. No? So, what I would like to say is for millennials, now that you understand the concept of passion, you have to do due diligence in understanding your natural giftedness. Some people are good with writing, some people are good with speaking, some people are good with eating. Most of them are good with eating. And then you develop that one. From that natural giftedness, you develop that into a talent, and that talent, you work on it, work on the competencies until that talent now becomes a skill. And then from that skill, now you develop it until it becomes an expertise. That competence and expertise now, I remember what Zig Ziglar would say. He says, or is it Jim Rohn? He says, You do well, you want to make a living, you do good. You want to earn more, you be excellent. But if you want to earn a fortune, you gotta make sure you're the only one who can do what you do. Essentially, what we're talking about is deep expertise and competence. So that's how you can develop your productivity passion. Don't waste time, but determine what it is. Secondly, here's the theological aspect of things. God will not put in you what He cannot expect out from you. In other words, your natural giftedness is a gift that He has given you. It's up to you to develop it and cultivate it. The practical way of thinking about it is this. If God did not give you the voice, don't ambition to make a CD. But if He has gifted you with the agility and the muscles and everything, maybe sports could be something that you'd like to pursue. So you have to understand your giftedness and strength.
Alright. Yeah, another millionaire. Right?
Hello, Sir Francis. So, I have someone from New Zealand and he has a question.
Oh, this is Facebook Live now?
Instagram Live.
Instagram Live.
So, what have you had to give up or sacrifice to get where you are today?
Oh, I've given up a lot of things. I've given up on parties and gimmicks, and but at the time I've given up on watching too much television or movies. I have given up on wanting to recognize and know who the artists are. I'm so ignorant, I'm so bobo. I had one person who attended my leadership seminar, and I said, you know, you're so talented and you're so pretty, you must be in show business. And she looked at me with a strange look and she says, I actually am. And I don't know who the PBA superstars are except for the two last players who attended my seminar. But when you think about it, I haven't lost much. Those are the things I have to give up. Why? In business, we have two words that can define success and failure. Those two words are called resource allocation. When you allocate your resource correctly, you become more productive, you maximize your resource. Time for me is a valuable resource. So I've given up social life, I've given up on a lot of things that I feel will not add value to my success goals. But having time with my family is something I won't give up, because it is one of the main reasons for my success goals as well.
Another from the legend.
Sir, we're just curious, kung isa sa buhay po yung sa pelikula yung buhay niyo po, sino po gusto niyong lumabas na artista? Huwag natin ng showbiz, di ba? Because of your success, sino po yung artist ang gusto niyong lumabas sa buhay niyo?
Panjagay ko, Richard.
Richard po.
Pastor reaction.
So you sing also?
Kanina habang tinatanong mo, nasa isip ko si Tarzan. You know what? I was in a plane and this lady approached me and she said, "Sir, tagal ko na kayo kilala. Sanay na ako dyan. May lumalaki, tapos selfie-selfie. Ako sabi, hindi po kayo si Joe Marichan. Sanay ko, shut up! I never even thought about that. As a matter of fact, I wouldn't want anybody to portray me in my life because it doesn't matter. What matters now is perhaps the work that you can leave behind, if you can learn from it. Me, doesn't matter. Soon enough, you and I, we're gonna disappear from this earth anyway. But it's what is the effect and the effect that we have for other people that really matters. So I've never even thought about that. Maybe Dharma.
Superhero.
Superhero.
Any other from the back? Welcome. Oh, from the front.
Good afternoon, sir. What is your average day like? How do you start or end your day?
Maybe my wife and my daughter can tell you that because it's so routinary. Wake up in the morning, you go to the bathroom. And by the way, when I go to the bathroom right after waking up, my phone is already open. I listen to an audiobook. Because even while you're brushing your teeth, when you wake up in the morning, your mind is so fresh. And so then I'm absorbing stuff. And then after that, I turn off my audiobook, I open my laptop, I do my quiet time. And so the quiet time would take me half an hour or something like that. And I would, that is a very commonsensical thing to do because I'm preparing my inner strength before I can go outside. And that's also the reason why I am not exaggerating when I tell my clients I pray for every engagement. After that, I get dressed, and while I'm getting dressed and fixing myself up, my audiobook is open again. Then I do my main thing. And by the way, we are 70+% liquid. So when I wake up in the morning, I want to jumpstart my body system by drinking water, not coffee. Coffee is not water. And then since I'm drinking my water in the first place, I will have my USANA supplement over there. Are we renewing our contract this year? Okay. So then I do my main thing. After that, my advantage is I think I'm the only speaker in the Philippines who would always travel and bring my wife along with me. Yeah, she's always there. For the past 20 years, 15 years, she's always there. But the people do not know her. She's there at the back. She is interceding in prayer. Yeah. So that's what I do. Then I go home, and then the kids are there, and then there I go. I do my Facebook again, and then I read books, and then I prepare something and batida ng naman for the next day. So it's so routine. That's what my tip continues. Yes, thank you.
All right. Last question, can I ask?
Sure.
All right. So as a struggling, I'm starting to make a name for myself. Like for the hosting, I actually can see myself like in the narrowing down your passion to your giftedness, and then of course there will be struggles. Like there will be no hosting rackets for the week, for the month, but when it comes, it pours. So what's your like fatherly advice for me as a breadwinner for the family? Take advantage of this.
I was about to offer him an advice. He said, "Fatherly, forget it."
I meant brotherly advice. Because you're brothers in Christ.
Well, you would remind me of R.J. Ledesma, a very good friend of mine. He has this stereotype stigma of being a wedding host, but he's an entrepreneur. He is brilliant. That guy, I don't know if you belong to my same generation. That guy is a pretty genius guy in a soft drink commercial. So he's a very genius. He's a genius himself. And now he comes to me and he says, "Sir Francis, ayoko naman yung wedding host ako forever." Sabi ko, "But you're doing your job well, eh." Sabi niya, "Yeah, I know, but I want to be an entrepreneur." So at least he got there. In other words, he zeroes in on one thing and he does it very, very well. And now it's just a marketing thing. How do you transfer now that craft into another craft? But essentially, what we do, what you do, what I do is the same. You're probably wondering, but Francis, you're not hosting. No, you and I are in the business of communications. So how do you now use that communication thingy and then perhaps explore something else that you would like to explore? Billy, for example, his giftedness is in leadership. This guy has, how many members now are in your network?
Around
200,000.
200,000.
I mean, if you don't have the leadership capability, how can you do that? Out of the 200,000, okay, you're here for that. It's the wife. And out of 200,000 members in your network, how many among them are active? 30,000, right? So getting people like 200,000 into your network and then having 30,000, that's a giftedness. He speaks too. No, here's the key. There are so many people who want to be public speakers, but what they don't understand is, what are you going to talk about? You gotta have competence, you gotta have skills, you gotta have unique personal experience that you can share. If not, what are you gonna do? You'll be mimicking some author from some business books, giving up motherhood statements, and then churning out cliche. The young people now are very smart. And the intelligent executives, the reason why they're making a lot of money and they're executives, they're smarter. So they would immediately know whether this good-looking guy speaks well, but there's no content to what he's saying. So you develop a competence, you develop a specialty, and then you become so good at it that people are willing to exchange their money for what you can offer in order to help their lives or business become better. In other words, you are in the business of persuasion. Communications is what we are doing.
Persuasion.
Yeah.
You think I have that? In my eye?
I would have said yes, but since you mentioned fatherly, I don't think so. Long way to go.
There's a special edition question from the birthday girl.
All right.
So this is actually from your Instagram
Okay.
live.
Right.
We have a question. She said, if you are already in a position in an industry and realize it is not something you're passionate about, should you consider thinking of growing and pursuing your passion?
It's a very difficult question to answer because there are so many variables there. There's always a new day for you to start a new beginning. But then, you have to weigh that with your responsibilities. For example, if you're a mother taking care of 4 kids, you wouldn't want to just recklessly say, I don't feel like I'm in this industry now, and then you shift to something else. But I would like to say that you first have to understand and be honest in saying, is this an emotional decision? Will this square with my logical and reasonable processing? If it's reasonable and logical, in other words, never make a major decision based on emotions. Don't trust your feelings. This is something I'd like to share with everyone while I have the microphone. The Generation Z now believes that if it feels good, it must be right. Advertising agencies are very smart. There are commercials there wherein the lead actor would say, if it feels good, it must be right. No. If you take in dangerous drugs, it makes you feel good. That doesn't make it right. And so, I would like to advise that person who's very honest, but you need to take time to process and figure it out. The logic, the context, the timing, and the reasonableness before you jump out from your industry and try something else. So, I hope that answers the question.
I think we have one more. Follow-up?
Sure.
So your common roadblock to success is procrastination. Have you ever had to deal with it?
Oh, yes. I have learned to deal with procrastination very, very early in my life. I realized that if I put off doing something, that thing would go away. But I have to deal with it in a more extensive way because of the damage that might have been done. Then you connect that with the banking principle of compounded interest. You put the money there, there's interest. Now, the same interest added to your money now earns a bigger interest. And so when you procrastinate things, it's the same principle. Except that the interest, which is positive, now becomes something damaging that is negative. And so I've come up with a formula, and my family knows this. I get upset when you have to do something and you don't do it right away. So this is the slogan I have in the house. If you have to do it anyway, why don't you do it right away? And then get the thing done. And then you can move on to the next thing. You're welcome.
Only one? That was fast.
So, ano po yung mapapayo nyo about sa mga life insurance po?
Pababa po kasi ang coverage ng life insurance sa ating population. If I'm not mistaken, marami sa kanila mga kliyente ko siguro mga 90% lang yun. I would say that if I'm not mistaken, I think only a low 11 or 14% of our general population is covered by insurance, kasama na yung GSIS and SSS. Now, importante talaga yung life insurance. Dapat may coverage yan. Pero hindi lang yung nako-cover ka, dapat aalamin mo kung ano yung insurance product na bagay sa'yo. For example, hindi kami marunong nung araw. Pero kahit wala pa kami pera ng misis nung araw, nakakover kami kasi ang inaalala namin kung may mangyari sa amin at least. Yung pala, pagka ikaw ang main breadwinner, dapat mas malaki ang coverage mo. Minsan kasi may mga insurance agents na hindi nag-explain. Gusto lang yung pumirma ka, kikita ng komisyon yan. Dapat yung life insurance products, by the way, is almost the same na. Depende lang dun sa nagbebenta sa'yo. Kung talagang nag-take care sa'yo, professional, tutulungan ka. At talagang mag-express sa'yo kung ano yung bagay sa'yo. Para sa akin, importante po rin. Thank you.
Alright, so I guess that wraps up our question and answer. So sir, can I ask a group photo from with the crowd before we go on to our